Ladies and gentlemen, there he is.
Turn your video.
There he is in all his bearded, balded glory.
Chuck, turn your video on.
I can't see you, man.
Hang on a second. Why would I not have the video on? Hang on. Start video. That would help.
There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Cooperstein in the house.
In the house.
Where's your Dirk Nowitzki jersey autographed behind you there, man?
There it is.
Oh, you got Dirk up there?
That's Dirk up there.
Beautiful, man. Why isn't it? How could he not sign it? You're the voice of the stinking Mavericks.
He did sign it.
Oh, okay. I thought you said it wasn't signed.
No, it is signed.
All right, good. How are you, man?
I'm the voice of the stinking Mavericks. That doesn't mean a whole lot. I'm not there.
We'll get into that. You're not in the bubble, right?
No.
Now, do you know Harry May? Do you know Harry when you were in Philly?
No.
No, I didn't.
Because what years were you here at IP?
92 and 93. 16 glorious months.
With the great Tom Bigby?
But we had him on
great moments of my life.
When I was with Jody Mack. We had him on once or twice.
Yeah, with Jody Mack.
Yeah.
When Harry worked with Jody Mack, and then you and I worked at ESPN.
I need some technical.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you just went into. You have a better perspective there. I had half your face for a second.
Sorry.
We had Peter Brown on yesterday. We're going to have Chuck Wilson on tomorrow. I'm like bringing back. I figured if I just bring back all the people I've ever worked with, we'll never have to book another guest.
Right, at least until sports starts.
You got to bring back Keith, right?
Oh, I did. Keith was one of the early guys. Mike Golick. I mean, you name it. We've had everybody on.
Andrew Siciliano.
Andrew Siciliano we've had on.
Mark Willard.
Mark Willard from San Francisco.
Radnich.
Gary Radnich in San Francisco.
You're too damn old. That's all that means.
I know. That means I've worked with pretty much everybody in the business.
That's right.
Now, are you celebrating National Nude Day there in the Metroplex?
I can't say that I am. I was unaware
Welcome
of that.
back to the Tony Bruno Show with Harry Mays on Sirius XM 211.
Yes, having fun. That's what we do first and foremost. We answer questions and questions answers, Harry.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we continue. And I was just talking to our next guest who's ready to go down there in the Metroplex where everything is closed. He's not wearing a mask. So I will call the NBA snitch police and have him reported because he is the voice of the Dallas Mavericks after all, Harry. And he does have his Dirk Nowitzki autographed photo behind him. And that was the first question I asked the great Chuck Cooperstein, who joins us not from the bubble, from Dallas, Texas. Hello.
Hello. I can't believe that you're actually lowering yourself to actually talking to someone from Dallas, as much as you despise everything about this town.
Oh, you can't. I love Dallas. I just always say, how about them Cowboys? The people in Dallas love me, the Cowboy players, you name it, Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman loves me. He calls me his favorite sports talk show host ever.
Michael Irvin loves you.
Michael Irvin and I'll still hug and kiss him. I don't care about the Rona. Come on, man. I've been to the Metro. I've Plano. I've been everywhere. Irving, you name it. We've done shows back at WIP days.
I must say, this is quite a reinvention from when we worked together.
Chuck Cooperstein. Now, how long have you been in Dallas? Because you worked in Philly for a year, 16 months. Then you were up at ESPN with us. And then when did you go to Dallas? Because you've been there a long time now because I'm losing track of time.
I went to Dallas in 94 from Philadelphia. And when I worked with you at ESPN, I mean, I wasn't there full time. I was just brought in to when Peter Brown, when you got tired of Peter Brown or you got tired of Chuck Wilson, you know, they called me and said, hey, you want to come up and spend a 14-hour day in Bristol, Connecticut? So sure, why not?
I didn't get tired of those guys. I love those guys. We're going to have Chuck on tomorrow. Those guys took days off, you know. Everybody got time off, and we had a lot of people come in. And you were one of them, and we had a lot of fun up there, man, even though we were sitting in a little box. So what's going on in Dallas? I mean, first, let me ask you about the Dak situation, because I just saw a story from, what's the guy, Fish something down there? Fish Sports. You know him? Mike Fisher. It's Fish Sports. He said that the Cowboys and Dak are no longer at we're not even going to have a discussion anymore, as we are a day away, Chuck, from will he get an extension or is he just going to play under the franchise tag?
I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot going on right now. Again, I'm not really close to those negotiations, but it's just shocking to me that we're at this stage. I mean, this is the only the only supposed franchise quarterback. I mean, the team has deemed him a franchise quarterback, and yet they have not treated him like a franchise quarterback. And indeed, he may, if this doesn't happen in the next 23 hours, that he'll join Drew Brees and Kirk Cousins as the only quarterbacks to be franchised since the tag went into place. And of course, neither one of those players stayed with their respective teams.
Good point. Absolutely right. Now, let's get it to the NBA now. So you're not going to go to the bubble because there's so many rules there. Guys are snitching on guys. Guys are wandering off to pick up an order from DoorDash. Down, and they cross the line, and then people are snitching them out and all that other stuff. So are you allowed to go down there as the radio voice and all the broadcast stuff that you do for the Mavericks?
No. What happened was that you had basically the teams had a list of 35 people that they could bring on the travel party. And when you consider players, coaches, equipment people, doctors, trainers, strength people, and whatnot, it adds up real fast. And broadcasters are pretty low on the list. And dare I say, I mean, the Mavericks aren't really different than a lot of other NBA teams. It's like Noah's Ark, man. They got two of everything. I'll do the games from the Mavericks locker room at the American Airlines Center. I did that when we went to China before the 2018-2019 season. I didn't make that trip, and it works out fine. I mean, got a big table, got a big TV. I'll have my engineers there to mix it, whatever sound we get from the NBA, and we'll go and we'll do it. And we'll see what happens. It'll be pretty crazy, but hey, what choice do we have?
Have you ever done games with no fans?
Never. I mean, I guess. Well, I take that back. I mean, I did back in like my early 20s. I did some high school football on Long Island. It's not like there are a lot of people that watch Long Island high school football on a Saturday afternoon.
It's not like Texas, man. They watch that every Friday night, man.
Exactly. That's probably the closest I've come to something like that. But certainly not on any type of professional level. It's going to be really weird. It's like I was just telling somebody a little while ago. It's like, okay, the Mavericks are playing the Rockets, the first game out of the box, and 3 minutes to go. Mavericks down 1. Luka on the drive to the rim. He hangs, he banks, he hits, and he's fouled. Now, like, how hard do I punch this?
Right.
And if I punch it, and the only reaction I get is from the Maverick bench. I mean, this is just going to be crazy.
From way downtown, bang!
Yeah. You may find yourself doing a little bit more to sort of make up for the fact that there's no crowd noise.
Yeah, because hockey, you saw that they're asking season ticket holders of teams to do videos like boos and cheers and all these other things. The NBA is not going that far. Aren't you surprised that they don't pump in noise?
Well, I heard they were going to pump in music, though. I thought they were going to do that. But as far as crowd noise, I mean, how do you make it work? I mean, it's not like soccer where they're just singing and whatever they're doing for 90 minutes, and then maybe a goal breaks out. Because it's kind of a white noise deal. In basketball, I mean, like that moment I just described. How does that work if you're pumping sound into the building? I don't think it does. So I would think they probably are better off not doing that. But I know the players wanted music because they're so used to hearing it, and they think that will help them. So I would think we'd see that, but as far as the crowd noise goes, I think that remains to be seen.
Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Dallas Mavericks, and you're right. I mean, during the break, you got to have. There won't be any people shooting T-shirts into the stands because there's nobody in the stands,
or hot dogs.
But the walking a ball up the floor and that the tapping and all that other, the in-house PA stuff. That's got to be there, man, because that adds to the flow of the game. You're right. The players love it. They're used to it. They know when they're in a timeout, when the music's going on. But there won't be any cheerleaders, right, even on the sidelines. Because over in the Korean baseball, they had, like, cheerleaders on the dugout.
Yes.
Right.
But they're not going to do any of that, right?
No
dance teams.
Nobody like that.
What about if Mark Cuban wants to jump up on on top of the bench and in a chair and go crazy?
And yell at the ref.
If there's a bad call, does he get into the ref's face?
I don't think he'll be allowed to be close enough to the floor to be able to do that.
So how far can this team go? Because obviously Luka. I know you have some Luka stories because everybody loves Luka. Not the one who was on the second floor. That song that was a depressing song from back in the day. But he was fishing.
Yes, it was.
He was bass
really
fishing.
depressing.
He was bass fishing the other day on one of those pontoon boats down there at Walt Disney World.
He loves to fish. He was telling us that the other day. He loves to fish. The question was, does he actually cook the fish that he catches? And he looked at the camera like the questioner had absolutely lost his mind. It's like, no, I don't do that. And I'll let somebody else do that. I'm not eating what I'm catching. But he loves that. I mean, he's just such a fun-loving kid. And I think, Tony, Harry, you've seen the videos of him. Even since Orlando, the bank shot off the beam, just kicking it in the basket from 40 feet. And there's no one in the world who practices more half-court shots than Luka does. Okay,
I think Ben Simmons is right behind him.
Right.
I think.
And I mean, he's a 21-year-old kid. I mean, that's what he is. I mean, he's so accomplished at what he does that you're thinking, he's 28, he's 29, he's been around forever. He's 21. He does kid things because he's a kid, and he's got that enthusiasm and joyfulness about him that I think is really going to carry this team when they start playing again. And I do think it makes them a legitimate dark horse threat when we start playing again.
And then there's Boban Marjanovic, who's a 31-year-old kid.
Exactly right. Yes,
Exactly.
Everybody loves Boban. No matter where he goes, it's impossible not to love that guy.
He was a fan favorite here and was hardly here too long.
Now, you're right, though. I mean, you talk about franchises that have been fortunate. Obviously San Antonio, when they went through the Admiral and then Tim Duncan. And then they just keep finding guys and drafting well. Not just, lottery picks, but guys in the second round that turn out to be Hall of Fame players. And now, after Dirk, everybody thought, wow, the Mavericks, they're going to go through one of these spells where it's going to be hard to reboot and get this team, an elite team again. And, boy, they really nailed it with Luka.
Well, obviously, unlike San Antonio, they were bad for a little while.
Yes.
For the 2 years before they got Luka. And they were fortunate to be able to make the trade with Atlanta to get him. But yeah, I mean, how many franchises are able to translate from one iconic figure to one who arguably could be their next truly iconic figure? And he's that. And then throw Porzingis into the mix, and he's just been fantastic for the Mavericks. Really all year. I don't know what the expectations for him were after so much time away, if he was going to pick it right back up. But I do know that, in the last 6 or 7 weeks prior to the stoppage, I mean, he was playing at an all-star level. I mean, he was just, it's 23 points, 10 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, 50% shooting, shooting threes from 35 feet and making them. It's just, he's tremendous. I mean, you think about how many teams have two players at 25 years old or younger, and Porzingis turns 25 on August 2nd. Does anybody else have two players like that? I don't think they do, and that makes it really exciting around here.
And that boy, to talk about the Knicks, boy, he really obviously was happy to get out of New York, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable,
Wouldn't
man.
anybody?
Yeah, but you think, this is New York. It's the Mecca. Everybody wants to be a Knick. Everybody wants to be a pick. This guy goes there. They loved him. They loved him for a year, and then they hated the guy.
Everybody, let's put it this way, everybody loves to go there. I don't know if everybody loves to be a Knick. Everybody loves to play in the Garden, but I don't know that everybody loves to be a Knick.
It's unbelievable how many players, and the whole thing is about, can some guys take the pressure of New York? We've seen it in baseball players. A lot of pitchers would sign there, and then they'd wither under the heat of the New York media and the press. Porzingis, I don't really know the guy. Is he the type of personality that is not conducive to play in a market like New York and is better suited in Dallas, Texas?
Not at all. I tell you what, I'm so impressed with him, with his maturity. Really, even from the first news conference, I mean, he totally gets it. Where at least in the media relations department, and I think probably his time in New York helped him, because you do have that circus that's there all the time, and you have to figure out how to deal with it. But he is always available and always really very introspective. I mean, sometimes probably too introspective for his own good, I think. But, as far as the playing goes, let's face it. I mean, it's an absolute circus in New York. I mean, with the constant revolving door of coaches and general managers and players. And yeah, you want to build around a young guy like Porzingis, but I mean, how are you really going to build around him when there's no stability in the franchise?
Yep.
And you look at the Mavericks. I mean, you've got the owner's been there 20 years. The general manager's been there 23 years. The coach has been there 12 years. I mean, 12 years is an absolute eternity in the NBA, in a coaching life. So there's all kinds of stability around him. And he winds up playing with a player who arguably could be one of the best 5 players in the NBA before too long.
Hey, Chuck, what are your thoughts on this format leading into the playoffs with the 8 games of the regular season that they have to play, which cynics like us think it's just a way for the Pelicans to try to work their way into the 8th seed to have
cynics, the entire league
have a
thinks that way.
Pelicans-Lakers series.
I think, okay, cynicism's allowed. I mean, I'll get it. Listen, from a health standpoint and what have you, would it have been better if they went right to the playoffs? Sure. But at the same time, I mean, they've been away for so long. You can't go in to what we're hoping is going to be really high-level competition and just play without having some warm-up games, some games that look like NBA games, even if they're not playoff games. So, I can see it. And sure, the schedule favors the Pelicans right now, but I wouldn't put it past Memphis to hold on and hold on to that 8th spot. I really like what they got going there too. But in a perfect world, yeah, we would have just jumped right back into it. But I think these guys probably needed some ramp up.
And of course, the Nets. Do they have any player? How many? It's going to be interesting. Everybody's down on the Nets and Jamal Crawford. I bet you those guys show up and play hard. They're not just going to go out there because even though he's 40 years old and they got a bunch of guys who they just picked up off the scrap heap, you think those guys are just going to go down there and roll over because the other players didn't want to go there and play?
Not at all. And now I don't know if you saw, they just lost Michael Beasley today. He tested positive for coronavirus and had to leave Orlando. But no, and especially a guy like Crawford, who is an absolutely beloved figure in the league. All I know is the last time I saw Jamal Crawford play, he scored 51 and tried to ruin Dirk's retirement night. So he scored 25 in the fourth quarter. The Mavericks were up 30, and all of a sudden, there's 3 minutes to go in the game, and the Mavericks actually have to start playing again, try to win this game to make sure that Dirk goes out, even though it wasn't until after the game that we officially knew that he was going to retire. That dude scored 51 points at the age of 40. He can score.
Oh, now he's going to light it. He's going to be shooting from every conceivable angle.
Right.
He may go to Epcot and take shots from there just to try to put a show on.
He has never met a shot that he didn't like.
As long as he doesn't take a shot outside the quarantine zone.
Exactly, yes,
Tony.
exactly right. You can't go out the quarantine zone. Man, I wish you were there. I want to see this. I want to see people stepping over a line and buzzers going off. Now, there was controversy earlier as we're trying to get to the bottom of stuff, which is what I do, as you know, Chuck, as a journalist first and foremost.
Ace reporter that you are.
Are they wearing those Disney magic bands that anybody can get if you stay in a hotel there, and instead of having to bring passes? So the bands actually get them into and out of the hotels, but they're keyed to the hotels and their buildings, which are obviously no one else can use because each one is married to the player, so to speak.
Yes. So yes, they all have that, and apparently there's a chip in their credential that you have to wear that buzzes if you get closer than 6 feet to someone.
What, really?
Really?
Yes.
Why don't they put the dog collar, the dog invisible fence, man?
Right.
That thing starts beeping as you get closer. Then if you
Starts buzzing.
If you cross the line, you get shocked. You won't do that again. Dogs know that. How many dogs have tried? Although I had a beagle once, and I had an invisible fence. Beagles don't care, man.
Yeah.
They get zapped. They just keep running. They don't say, "Oh, I'm not going to cross that line again."
So you have that, and bracelets.
Oh, there he is.
They have these bracelets that apparently can tell whether or not you are getting sick, and it provides information either on the bracelet or to someone manning the controls that lets them know if you're coming down with something. So I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Tony, I frankly, as happy as I am to sort of have a normal life here in Dallas right now, I really, the more that this unfolds, I'm really curious about going there. And I kind of wish I was there just for that high, mighty journalistic purpose that you always speak of every day. That just to see it and just to experience it, because ultimately it's what we do. It is what we do. And so I definitely feel like I'm missing something. But, the accommodations at Shea Cooperstein are pretty good. So, I'll settle for that.
I see you got your Cowboys thing right behind you there, man. What is that now, that poster?
That is from the last game at Texas Stadium in 2008 when the Ravens ran past the Cowboys, and that fullback McLean for the Ravens ran for about 220 yards and beat them.
Doesn't look like a Motel 6, Tone.
No, it doesn't. And that's the other thing. The Rajon Rondo comments about the hotels. Obviously, he only stays in Ritz's and all that other stuff. But I'm sure growing up, he wasn't staying in 5-star hotels.
No, he's from the tough side of Louisville, Kentucky.
Exactly.
I mean, he was not staying there. From what I've heard, certainly from the Mavericks people, and I think this is really a huge part of what's going to unfold. Is like, what's your attitude going to be like when you're really cooped up for that long? And the Mavericks as a team, their attitude has absolutely been fantastic. And you've probably seen, like I said, a bunch of the stuff on social media, that they've done. They know they're there for a purpose, but they also know that, this is not the end of the world.
Exactly.
I mean, there are situations that are much more severe than what they're dealing with, and they've got the full weight of a huge corporation behind them to make sure that this works. So there's no reason not to buy in from their standpoint.
And, being a regular guy, which I have been my whole life for the most part, he's hearing guys bitch about hotel accommodations, guys who make millions of dollars. The fans aren't going to love that stuff. That's why Giannis had the best quote when he was asked about it. I'm not going to sit here and complain about all this stuff. I'm grateful to be here. That's what fans want to hear, man. They want to hear how grateful you are, how happy you are, despite all the problems. Because guess what? Everybody else is going through the same problems, too. A lot of people can't work and all that stuff. So, Chuck, you've been around sports a long time. I'm not trying to knock athletes. I just think in this situation, when you're in a spot where you're getting the best protection, the best medical coverage, and everything else to make sure that this can go well, and guys are able to opt out if they don't want to be there, and if they have legitimate reasons, which most of them do, then nobody wants to hear complaints. And I think Giannis, talking about guys who have the right attitude and why people beloved these guys, he plays it right and he understands the game, even though another guy not from this country.
Absolutely. I know JJ Barea had a tweet about it yesterday. It's, thanks NBA for doing, everything that you're doing. And listen, I think for the most part, from everything that I've seen, the players get it. And because ultimately the players want to play. And so if you're going to play, this is how it has to be for now. Okay. Sorry. You're not staying at the Crescent, a half mile from the American Airlines Center. But you know what? It's not like the hotels at Disney World suck.
Exactly.
They really don't.
And you get to ride Splash Mountain before they tear it apart and reimagine it.
Or you know what? I mean, you've got the Magnolia Golf Course. They've got access to 3 golf courses there.
Exactly.
And the Magnolia is a really great course. Used to hold a PGA Tour event. I know Rick Carlisle went out there yesterday with a couple of people from the Mavericks organization to play it. So
even Harry would go down for that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, he would.
I wish
any normal person would go down for it.
Damn right. Any abnormal person would go down there. Although I saw one track. It was who was it that was playing golf and the tee box?
It was all torn up. Yeah, who was that? We saw that video. We saw a picture of that yesterday.
Kemba Walker.
Kemba Walker. I don't know where he was playing, but the tee box was torn up. Did they have a lot of rain down there?
I'm in Texas. You're asking me?
Well, you saw the video. It was Kemba, the bubble.
I didn't see the video.
Haven't you been following the NBA bubble reports from the bubble? The guys fishing and playing golf.
But Tony, I cannot say that I have followed every single tweet or every single Instagram post that has come from the bubble. I will admit ignorance.
You're disappointing. You're disappointing me now. You're disappointing me.
He's not on Twitter 24/7 like you.
By the way, are you following me on Twitter, Chuck Cooperstein? Are you following me on Twitter?
Of course I am.
All right, just
We
want to make
do
sure.
have one comment regarding Chuck that we need to make.
From the Twitch stream?
No, that we discovered when I had to send him an email.
When we had to send an email. I'm not going to give your email address, but guess what carrier, or which, what is it called?
It's AOL.
Provider?
Provider,
yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm on AOL.
Chuck Cooperstein is still on AOL. Let's dial him in right now and see how he's doing.
Hey,
You
know
got
what?
mail. Do you still get you got mail when you're on AOL mail?
No, you don't get that. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to do anything. And I'm too lazy and or technologically challenged to change.
I hear you.
Wow.
No, listen, but what I saw, Robin told me about that. And whenever I hear AOL, I always think about the dial-up and the you've got. So they don't do you've got mail anymore?
No.
Oh,
no,
I hate to do it.
Wow.
I hate to do it to AOL.
That was the best part of AOL.
Exactly. They made movies about
Tell
it.
ya.
You've got mail.
Jim Clemens
they
was
did.
the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks back in the
Oh,
96.
Wow, that is great Jim Clemens knowledge. Wow.
Yeah, that didn't last too long.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
The old triangle offense didn't quite work in Dallas the way it did.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's put your hands together. Let's put your hands together for the great Chuck Cooperstein down there in the Metroplex, baby. He'll be dancing tonight down at Gillies. So make sure you stop by and buy him a nice big bottle of beer and get yourself a big belt buckle and some tight jeans and some boots. Tony Lama boots.
Tony Lamas,
And
yeah.
a big cowboy hat. Last thing, you have a cowboy hat. You have a cowboy hat, Chuck.
No, I do not. And as usual, the sarcasm of my fair city, you've not lost your touch.
Listen, that's love. I love that part. Who doesn't like going to see chicks on line dances with skin-tight jeans on and big belt buckles?
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Doing the boot scoop boogie.
Boot scoop boogie. Chuck Cooperstein, everybody, good to talk to you, man. Have fun.
Good
and
talking to
good
you.
luck with the Mavericks in
Always
the
great
bubble.
seeing you.
Take care. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Chuck